Hello, friends. My name is Aslam Sheikh, your host for this evening. I'm a founder and CEO of Alif, a platform to promote a global perspective of education and career. This is our 69th career talk and broadcasted live on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. Every Friday, we aim to bring in the valuable speakers to discuss the topic that is important to you and for your career. And for the benefits of the viewers who are not knowing us before and they want to know more about us. So, as a company, we have got the 12 years of experience in guiding the students for higher education. Alif has been named among the top 10 most recommended overseas education consultants by Insight Success in 2020. We have counseled over 23,000 students in last 12 years, and we represent across 14 countries, over 200 universities. So with this short introduction, let's move to our today's topic. Today's topic is very, very interesting, as most of the students have received their 12th results. I'm sure that they would like to have more information on this particular topic. And today's topic is MBBS in the UK and Europe. And to discuss this exciting subject, we have with us the expert panel of speakers. So let me do the honor of introducing them. So let us have a first speaker in the room, and let's welcome Mr. Peter. Hi, Peter.
Hi, everyone. Greetings from London, UK. Hi, Sam, and all participants. Thank you for this invitation to join you this morning or this afternoon. Looking forward to the questions that you have for people to find out more about the medical, applying for medicine and the MBBS programs with our leading partner universities here in the UK and Europe.
Sure, Peter. Thank you very much. And let me quickly introduce you to our audience. So Peter is an on-campus partnership and progression director. Peter has been engaged in international education for over 30 years, having worked in UK and US. He's a graduate of University of Cambridge in the year 1976. Peter has a genuine passion to share knowledge to inspire students to excel in their talents matched with ambition to make a difference as a UK global graduates. Peter has strong academic interest in global citizenship, world economic, political affairs, scientific innovation, and change. Thank you, Peter, for joining us, and I'm looking forward to talking to you more. Let's welcome our next speaker, Mr. Pranesh Kumar Sinha. Hi, Pranesh. Good to have you back in the room.
Hi, Aslam. Thanks for inviting us.
Thank you very much. So let me introduce quickly Pranesh. Pranesh is a South Asia manager for ONCAMPUS. Pranesh has overall experience of 18 years, out of which he invested his 14 years in the international student recruitment. He's a postgraduate in insurance from Amity Business School and has served at GE and ICI Lombard in different capacities. And international recruitment had been led and the developing recruitment strategies, agency development in South Asia, and has worked with both university and pathway providers on the UK. So with this short introduction, let's move on to today's topic. And before I could start asking the questions to this gentleman, and these are the questions, by the way, are put forward by the students and parents, that they are eagerly waiting for the answers to these questions. Before that, let me quickly remind you that if you have any question in your mind, please do write into comment box, and if time permits, we will try our best to take the maximum questions received today. Otherwise, we definitely have some very strong and relevant questions to ask to both these gentlemen. So let's begin this session, and let's start with today's topic, and with a little bit of history, as that we know that India is a very, very competitive market if you really want to be a professional doctor. And this is the reason why students are also equally interested to keep the option open to have the seats availability in the abroad universities for the similar program. And let me give you the context of the conversation is that India has witnessed a huge competition in this particular field. In fact, we have around 83,000 or 84,000 seats available in India for this medical courses. Out of that, 30 to 40% is reserved for different categories of the people. We know that we have a different background whereby the people can join. So if you are coming from open category, you have got a tough competition to face in order to get into any recognized medical institutes. And also to compete for these 84,000 plus minus seats, we have got more than 10 lakh students every year competing. So you can imagine the amount of competition we face in India. And hence, this program will help you to take a look beyond India market, look at the global market, look at India, look at your UK, look at Europe, and let's understand that how can you make your dreams come true to be a doctor through these options. So my first question straight away with this context is to Peter. Peter, before we get into the details, we would like to just assess and understand the demands of doctors in UK and in a Europe market from your point of view.
It's as you say, Aslam, there is a great demand in India, a lot of competition, a lot of applications and opportunities to become a doctor, a qualified medical practitioner. But it's universal, it's global. There's a global shortage of doctors everywhere. It's not, and because of that, there is a lot of competition and people have ambition. The tragic situation of the last, 18 months with COVID has impacted dramatically on all our healthcare services. So putting that in context, now many young people, particularly your listeners today, will be interested and inspired to contribute to the medical profession, hence the need for more doctors. So even though there's a lot of competition, there is still a global shortage. And here in the UK and Europe and in India and many other places, we need more qualified experience, more qualified doctors and more applicants to apply for this area. However, there still aren't enough medical places. And that's something that our government, and no doubt your government, is trying to do, and many of the world governments with W Health organizations' proposals. So there is great need for more doctors and more places being available. But it's the similar situation of competition in UK and Europe. Also, you know, the pressure for the last year and a half on our doctors has been immense. And doctors are retiring a little bit earlier. There is more placements, there is more opportunity, and the need for more talented, passionate doctors to make a difference to the communities and the lives of the people, the population. So yes, let's encourage more people to have that, more students to have that ambition, because we need more doctors, we need more physicians to support the next part of the 21st century.
Absolutely, that's really interesting to know the demand for the doctors across the world, as like in India and abroad, and especially in the UK context. So, friends, if you're really looking to make a career in this particular and noble profession, there is a huge requirement, and of course, we understand that there is a huge competition as well. So, let's try to see that how can you bypass this competition, or if the competition is very severe in India, then what are the alternatives available for you? And just to connect these dots, again, coming back to Peter. Peter, how's MBBS looks like? If I'm an aspiring student listening to you, what are my chances to getting into the MBBS seats in UK? And how does this course looks like from a bird's eye point of view? What happens in UK to be an MBBS?
Obviously, you have to look at the suitability of one's own talents and qualities, and ask some honest questions about, am I suited to be a doctor? Am I suited for medical training? Because it's a very hard training and demanding profession. Yes, not just to qualify, but also as lifelong learner, because you have to be developing and pioneering all that knowledge in chemistry, anatomy, sciences in the future. So some genuine, honest questions to be asked of oneself, but the opportunities are immense. We, as ONCAMPUS, Cambridge Education Group, we work with some extremely expert schools of medicine here in UK and in Europe, in Ireland, and our students join our foundation because year 12 qualifications, if I share with you from India, will not be enough really to get direct entry onto medical degrees, whether that's the MBBS or the other medical degrees. So therefore, foundation, we have ours called the MUFP, Medicine Undergraduate Foundation, is serving its purpose. It's been running up to about 7 years or so with great success. Our students do a preparatory course, and then they progress with great level of progression onto the medical degrees, particularly with UCLan, University of Central Lancashire. We've been working with for 6 years with 100 or so students graduating, going on to that degree program, or with the Royal College of Surgeons of Ireland is another one of our partners. But we do have others in Europe, in Cyprus, Nicosia Medical University, etc. Yeah. So preparation a preparatory foundation course puts all that knowledge and experience and insight, because the selection for medicine, as it is in India, you still have to take some assessments, special ones, and interviews. You've got to convince the selectors that you've got all the right qualities and attributes to be a doctor, and that needs expertise in sharing that knowledge and training students to do well with their application for the MBBS, for the medical degree. And we do that extremely well with ONCAMPUS.
Right. So, Peter, before coming down to the option of talking in detail about pathway programs, first, I would want students to understand that what it takes to get into a university directly, how it is challenging or not challenging, and then maybe we can relate it as a solution, a pathway, option or solution. So, if I ask you that if I want to get directly into UK university, what is the requirement do I need to face?
Well, from your system, your educational system, do remember I did work with NGOs in India a couple of decades ago, so I understand the education system. You would need to do exceptionally well, and if you're at an international college or school, then the selection criteria will really be based on A levels or baccalaureate, the IB. For students who perhaps have done well at year 12 and they've gone on to medical school or a science degree in your universities, then possibly there is an option of transferring either from year 1 or year 2, because you've improved your qualification grades. But we find the students who join us from India, and we have quite a number who join us from year 12 with very good grades in chemistry and biology, but they need the foundation course to top it up, to make sure they understand our academic culture, because it isn't just about grades, it isn't just about chemistry and biology. It's the qualities, showing compassion, the attributes you need in terms of empathy, understanding, and also work experience too, getting an insight into caring for others. And it doesn't have to be working in a hospital or anything like that, but having an insight into care and the nature of the behavior of patients and people, really. So direct entry is possible, but you will need to have extremely high grades from school and a university to some extent. A levels or baccalaureate, again, grade A's, A stars, but do remember that you're competing with home students as well from UK, and they will have even more of those 4 A levels or
so. Do they have to take that UK test also, UCAT test?
Nearly the majority of our university medical schools, we require UCAT, the entrance test, the UCAT central admissions test for medicine. But the partners we work with, Aslam, they don't require that. So that's why we've got hundreds of students progressing onto the medical degree. They are just as good as students who perhaps have taken the UCAT, but because we spend a lot more preparation and small class ratio time with them, we're preparing them for the interview, the MMI interviews that they still will have to pass. They still have to get very good grades. They have to have an excellent standard of English, IELTS at 7 or 6.5 minimum if they're doing the 6-year program, because there are a lot of options available to students, either to join the 5-year MBBS or the 6-year MBBS after our foundation. So UCAT not necessarily required for the partners that we work with, which really goes in favor of international students.
Right, absolutely. I think you made a very, very important point, and in the benefit of the students and parents, I'll just try to summarize quickly before we move further. That friends, we may not have a similar style of education of progression, what just Peter mentioned. So we do usually consider, and that's why sometimes I can understand when the students and parents, they show their resistance to join through foundation course, is because we always have a state progression pathway, which we follow here in India. And when the foundation comes, I mean, we get struck, why this is and how come it is to spend extra months. But what Peter has said very clearly is that in order to bridge the gap between the qualification which we receive here in India and it's been offered or expected to be at the level in UK, this foundation degrees is really helpful to upgrade yourself from Indian curriculum to the UK curriculum, number one.
Absolutely.
Number two, Peter has to say very clearly that you also need to have some kind of experience, not necessarily in hospitals, but having an experience to showcase your passion towards caring the life. And that's again a very important point what Peter made, is that also gives in fact a chance for you to test out that whether medicine field is for you or not.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone believes, sometimes students believe I'm excellent in chemistry and biology and that's it, I'll make a perfect doctor. It doesn't work like that. The nature of human beings and patients, and even if it's an elderly relative or young family or neighbors, showing that aspect of compassion, that aspect of empathy and caring is so important. So that's a very important requirement, not just to acquire when you're on our foundation, but to acquire even now. And I'm sure many of your participants listening now will have that experience, but it needs to be honed in, because our foundation program, if I show you, is tailor-made to prepare students best for those degree courses, because we've been working with those medical schools for a number of years. We know what's needed, we know what's required, because we can share that expertise with your students. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Peter, for making that very valid point. And Naman is hearing us. So Naman, I'm sure that you must have received the answer for your question which you already asked, so that has already been covered. So moving further now, Pranesh, we understood the UK point of view from Peter. Now translating that into the Indian mind, from Indian context, I would like to take your help. And we have Indian options, uh, vis-a-vis the pathway program which just Peter introduced to our audience. How do you make a difference or make a comparison between these two, for students and parents who are listening to you can easily understand that why it could be one of the best available options available for them?
So, thank you so much for the question. Now, I respect both the options, whether it could be pathways or, students not looking into pathways. But one thing that I would like to highlight, as Peter said initially, is how does these pathways and foundations help students to become a better medicine student in the UK? Is that we work a lot, not only on the academic side of the student, but we also make them pretty good at their English skills, which is again one of the important skills that a doctor must have in the UK. Not only academics plus English, but one more important thing is that the foundation basically prepares you or helps you meet expectations when you get into the MBBS program. You understand how the course is being delivered, what kind of performance is needed out of you. We usually say that foundations are basically soft landings in the UK. You tend to acclimatize to the entire situation. You become a better student. You're already introduced to the subject. You know how to perform when you get into MBBS. And that's one of the reasons that I strongly advocate that students should do foundations. Obviously, there are a number of students in India who would either look into doing a MBBS either in India or abroad, and some students might even look into direct admissions abroad. But please know that direct admissions means a couple of things. One, your academic percentages has to be extremely high. Your UCAT scores means a lot to you. Have you seven? Have you got an IELTS 7 with no elements less than 7? The all combination needs to be at the right place if you're applying for an MBBS program, specifically in countries like the UK where the requirements are high. So I would always suggest that yes, foundation might increase the tenure of your study just by 9 months, but it can give you a lot of value add on. Now, imagine I'm a student who has never been prepared on how to crack an interview with a medicine school in the UK. Until unless I'm really an exceptional student, otherwise I won't be able to crack those interviews. In foundations, we also make students how to do personal statements, how to crack interviews. So from my end, it's a thumbs up that foundations are really needed by students to become, a better product overall. A more dynamic product helps you to adapt to different situations and become a better student.
Absolutely,
Very
Pranesh.
important. Sorry, very important point there Pranesh made is about the preparation of skills and personal development. and also the expertise that we offer on our pathway programs for the medicine multiple interviews, because the MMIs are very significant entry point, and we prepare students. If students are on course to get good grades, they're guaranteed an MMI interview with our UK North, with University of Central Lancashire or Royal College of Surgeons Island. And those interviews are an hour and a half long with 6 or 10 workstations. They might be short, but you've really got to perform. And we prepare our students, mock interview, training, preparation. And we have a 75% success rate of all our applicants. And we had about 80 or so applied, and 75% of them got through the MMI and were offered places for the MBBS. Then obviously you have to get the grades, etc., and prove yourself with our results. But we give all the opportunities in place. But yes, a lot of it is preparation and hard work, and there's no shortcuts really still. I mean,
Yes.
Absolutely.
but what's important is that the UCAT, Aslam, although everyone talks about the test scores, but it's only one part of the application process. The medical schools we work with, they may well have or be introducing UCAT, but they like the quality of our students. And the UCAT is taken into consideration when students are interviewed. And it's that interview technique, that application process, that's so important to prepare students well. Hence, working with experts like ONCAMPUS, working on our pathway with our students in that second term, getting ready for those assessments in February or March. Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. Thanks. Thank you, both of you. I think you added a lot to the question, Pranesh. Thank you very much for that piece of advice which you offered. And I'm sure that the parents who are listening to you, they would understand now that why these foundation courses are really helpful for you, because friends, you won't get this similar kind of preparation and assistance and hand holding back here in India in order for you to qualify directly into the course. And as Peter said, it's not only the UCAT. There are interviews and hours of interviews and the SOPs and all this other stuff. And also the upgradation of the curriculum. That's all put together makes you
Tailor-made.
foolproof ready into the first year of MBBS. Thank you, great. So Pranesh, my next question is relevant to the first point, and we also have Namita asking this question on the show. So Namita, we try to cover this answer in our next question to Pranesh. Pranesh, we would like to know, now we understood that it's very competitive to get in India. We know that it's very competitive to get directly into UK. So essentially what we are talking about, we are caring about the students who are not competent enough to get into those 84,000 seats in India or through the UCAT into UK. So we are addressing largely to this big aspirational crowd who is falling a little bit behind this criterias, and then we are talking to them. So what's your advice, that what's the admission criteria in order to at least get into the pathway program? So I understood that's very difficult. So let's talk about what it takes to get into pathway, the requirement. If we can also talk about the intakes and also the fees.
Yes, please. Thanks for that question. Now, I'll be sharing exactly the entry requirements that we have. We usually need students to have at least a 65% in class 12, with chemistry and bio needs to be at least 65. That's an academic requirement. Second is an English requirement, which is an IELTS UKVIS, please. These are known as CELS, the Secure English Language Test. And sometimes students confuse between standard IELTS and the UKVI IELTS. Now, the UKVI IELTS are the exams that students take to get into foundations. And we need 6 with no elements less than 6 at the IELTS UKVI. So that's the second requirement. The third requirement is a personal statement from students, which should be ideally 750 words. Why do you wish to study medicine? Why in the UK? etc. Some those topics needs to be covered in the personal statement. Point number 4 is that every student needs to be interviewed by the on-campus UK North faculty member. Obviously, we need to check the passion of the student. We need to understand how good the student is. So we interview those students. Last but not the least is a volunteering work experience that's needed from the home country. That's a very important point, please. Now, students or parents or counselors or principals who are listening to us, That doesn't mean that the volunteering experience has to be taken in the UK, has to be taken from the home country. It's not the tenure that matters. So somebody might ask a question, oh, is it needed to be like 3 months, 6 months, 5 months? No, it's not exactly the tenure, is the quality of volunteering work experience that you have. And as Peter emphasized earlier, it should be towards showing your care and concern towards people. It's not only about hospital engagements, but could be working at an old age home, blood donation camps, etc. So there are different kind of volunteering work experiences that students can do, and yes, should be evidenced, should be properly evidenced. Please, one thing I would really like to highlight over here is that sometimes when students and parents meet us, they say they could arrange this volunteering work experience. I'm sorry, that really doesn't work, because you'll be completely exposed when you'll be interviewed by the universities at the time of progression. Never get into any kind of a malpractice over here. These should be genuine experiences, and these are actually the admission requirements. Now, coming to the next question is, what are the fees? It's £22,485, but please note that we can offer generous bursaries, or should I say scholarships, up till £3,000 to £4,000 on the Medicine Undergraduate Foundation program. One more important thing, many a times parents and students ask us, are we supposed to appear for needs before
Yeah.
we get into MUFPs in the UK? Yes, ideally you should, and you should be NEET qualified. Now, the definition of NEET qualified is that uh, is such a score that allows you to get into private colleges and management quotas. That's the definition of NEET, and the total marks in NEET are 720, and to qualify that for a general category, I'm just giving you an example, is around 140. So it's very easy to qualify NEET. It's very easy to qualify
Correct.
NEET. It's better for students to appear for NEET. NEET happens 2 times in a year, February and May. I think this year it got postponed because of the COVID
Right.
situation. But otherwise, you should ideally appear for NEETs before you're planning to study abroad an MBBS program in any of the countries. One important thing that I would like to highlight over here is that about the exam. Now, many students or parents would ask this question: when I complete an MBBS in the UK, or irrespective any country, could be a European country or could be UK, when we come back, what is the next step or process? What should we
Yeah,
do?
Pranesh,
Uh,
for that question, I will come back to you. I just
oh,
wanted to
sure,
keep
please.
that as a secret, for them to know
Oh,
so
okay,
that they stick
okay.
around. Because before that, I just want to get into, because I'm just taking them step by step. Otherwise, they will
Yes,
get
please.
overwhelmed. So, friends,
Apologies.
we
Okay.
have learned, no problem. We have learned now that demand for UK, we have got into the UK, direct admissions, pathways. We understood what's a requirement for both of these ways. Now we want to go one step above on this, and then we'll come back to Pranesh. One step is that now you understood the pathway requirement. Now let's assume that we get into the pathway program and we are progressing. So just wanted to address this point, and then surely I want to come back to you that what happens after that when I want to come
Sure.
back to India. So Peter, I would like to just involve here and understand from you that now Pranesh has given us a very clear idea. How can we make into a on campus through pathway program? Now, what happens post pathway? How do I progress into university and complete my MBBS? Peter, you want to unmute yourself, I guess?
You mean on the pathway program? What, when students arrive and they join us in that first term? Yeah.
Yeah. So how does progression happens from pathway to the university? What kind of options and what
Yeah,
do they
sure,
do?
sure, sure. So basically, we have a 3-term program. Students hopefully will arrive in September, but they need to be ready to be prepared to work hard right from the first week. In that first week of induction, they'll meet our partner medical schools. They'll have special talks. They will be able to also apply through UCAS if they wish to apply for other degrees, because don't just think it's medicine at all costs, because our system of UCAS, which you understand, yeah, I think, certainly your group would explain it to other applicants. They can apply to 4 medical schools, but need to also apply for biomedicine and biomedical degrees as a reserve, as an insurance, as an alternative. So we are very intensive in our approach. The first term of teaching is going to be focused particularly on their subject areas of chemistry, biology, and mathematics, and well as medical skills to prepare them for the interviews and the assessments. So we do a lot of intensive work and talk to our students from India. We have on our website a lot of stories from Suita and others, and from Rebecca, telling them about the experiences, because our staff are highly experienced and trained, and some of them work for UCLan Medical School as well. So they're getting the best of expertise. The first term is going to be formative assessments, but in the second and third term, students will be prepared for final examinations. And those exams, if they start in September, will be in May to get their results in June, or if they start in January, they'll get those in August. But there will be examinations, because that's the nature of our integrated degree courses. They will be taking exams year by year in the 5-year of training they have at medical school. So a lot of focus on knowledge, a lot of focus on skills development, but at the same time, so important, Aslam, is that motivation and the drive and the commitment to study. And that is supported by our personal tutors, our expert advisors and guidance, and that's so essential. It's been a difficult year for everyone globally with the pandemic, working from home, working online, professionally, but also studying online. So all those attributes, whether it's blended learning or face-to-face and direct, we will be doing face-to-face for this program, particularly with our medical students. And we would want them to be motivated and organized, and that discipline is so important. And if it's not quite there with that student's ability already, we will help them make it happen and support them all the way through their development to get the best results and be the best that they can be. But it is a challenging program. One has to be prepared for that, because the medical profession is a challenging vocation as well, and one can't just rely on knowledge, because it's constantly changing all the time, particularly now with the biopharmacy, pharmaceutical industry, and everything that's needed in the future. Yeah. So that gives you an outline, but exam grades will come in May and June, and that's when you know if you've made that mark. But the interviews will be February or March, and then they'll know what their offer situation is. Yes, and so therefore that encourages them to be more inspired and motivated to do well, which our majority of our students do year by year, with the great results and outcomes and progression onto medicine that they achieve.
So which university options would be available for them after the pathway? How many years do they need to study?
The one that the university we work very closely with for guaranteed progression for interviews, and if they get the satisfactory interviews and the grades, is University of Central Lancashire School of Medicine. We have normally something like 50 or 60 students graduating onto the medical school there. Another popular selection, if you are keen on Europe, is the Royal College of Surgeons of Ireland, based in Dublin, Bahrain, and Malaysia. They got different campuses around the world. And again, they will be for the MBBS program. We also work with University of Nicosia Medical School in Cyprus. But if I share with you, students can also apply. We've got students who are studying in United Emirates, in Dubai, on medical courses. We've got students in Turkey. We've got students in Egypt, around the world, and also America, which is now tremendous shortage of doctors there. So we work with St. George's Grenada, which is in the Caribbean, but it's a foothold into the US medical system profession. Career-wise, it's more remunerated, and salaries are about 3 or 4 times higher than they are for qualified British or European doctors, but that's the nature of the US medical healthcare system.
I think I wanted to just here also ask you this important question, since you brought this point. So what would be the career point of view? What would be the salary or remuneration they would be expecting in Europe or in UK?
Obviously, it's like everything else. You start at a lower level. Once you've done your 5-year degree, You then become a junior doctor for 2-year foundation training, and then you work for another anywhere between 3 and 8 years for your specialist training. But the salary range will go from, in the UK, starting salary for doctors around about 30k, who have to work many more hours than 40 hours a week. So I've got family members. I've got two nieces and a nephew in medicine. They give me their stories. I mean, Luke, who went on to medicine, he's now a consultant. He's a specialist in A&E, where we have a great shortage, and he's round about 80 to 90k. If you become a consultant, private practice, wow, UK or Europe, you're talking of, I don't know, £250,000 as a private practitioner in your private medical schools. But then if you look at Europe, similar, but US, you're talking a double or treble that amount. Yes, if you have a US qualified
Right.
degree.
So thank you very much for very, very inclusive and global answer. You covered almost all the options very well. So friends, that's the news coming in from Peter, that these are the career options available. You would like to add something, Peter?
Just that everything takes hard work, Aslam. We know this. And this last 18 months, there's greater demand on everyone and every community and every people. But we do need more talented, qualified, and ambitious students to become doctors. And that shortage is everywhere. So I would encourage students to research carefully all aspects as to the quality, the background, the success rate of the pathway programs, but also more importantly, do you have what it takes to be a doctor? Because the demands are going to be tremendous. And if your answer is yes, then certainly consider our pathway programs and work with some of the world's experts, because we work with the leading world-class medical schools as well. So that's the final word from me. Be the best that you can be, but make a difference. So important now, particularly in the field of medicine.
Absolutely correct. Peter, thank you very much. So friends, as rightly said by Peter, that you need to find out whether do you have that passion, that skill, that interest to pursue your career. And if you are confused, then here is the link for you in the comment box, which I shared, whereby you can check through our aptitude test, which is very scientifically designed, and it's one of the best tests, which will help you to identify your own strengths, your personality, your type of interest, because many times, understandably, students are confused. And to answer this easy looking question is very difficult. So we do understand.
Aslam, is that on your website, Aleph Overseas website? Can I look at that? Yes. That sounds excellent. Excellent.
So we do understand, because most of the time students are confused. They have got too many options to choose from. So you can take this test, help yourself to identify your interest first, and then once you have a check on your interest, by all means you can connect with us, and we'll be happy to help you to get your first step right in the right direction. So coming down to a very last and very important question to Pranesh. Pranesh, now we have seen the entire journey of student up till they become a graduate and they are looking for a career in abroad. But what if parents asking that my son or daughter wants to come back to India and want to practice here? Then what's the process? And I would like you to take us through the process and formalities of government to be a registered doctor here in India.
Okay, thanks for that question. Now, usually what happens, that's one of the questions that everyone would ask, irrespective of which country you are studying an MBBS. When you come back to India, you need to have a license to practice as a doctor. Now, I'll just give you a background, and then I'll quickly jump into what's happening recently on this. So we all know about the Medical Council of India. Now, it was, I think, in September 2020 that Medical Council of India was replaced by the National Medical Commission.
Right.
Now, National Medical Commission came into force in 2020. What had happened thereafter is that foreign medical graduate examinations had taken place. Now, for me, if I've studied from abroad and I wish to practice in India, I need to do that FMGE exam, which is a multiple choice question exam and has almost 300 questions. And to qualify FMGE, you need to have 150 correct answers. So that's foreign medical graduate exam. This is happening till date. And obviously it's being conducted by the National Board of Examination that works under the guidelines of the National Medical Commission. So this FMGE exam actually decides your fate, whether you'll get a license in India to practice or not. That's a very important thing. But what's happening now is completely different. There's something known as next exams, national exit test, that would start from 2022. And this will change the entire game in India, because no matter whether you are a medicine graduate from India or abroad, to practice in India, you will have to clear the next exam. So it
Right.
becomes, to be honest with you, it becomes irrelevant which universities are recognized by MCI or not. What's more
Hmm.
important is whether you would be able to clear the next
Clear
exam
that
or not.
test. Absolutely.
So that's now, I cannot have a detailed information on the next at this moment because it's still developing. And as I said, it would be implemented in 2022. But I did some kind of a research, and this would be an exam with 540 MCQs, multiple choice questions, and would get into place in 2022. So students should get ready. It's going to replace the foreign medical graduate examination and NEET PGs as well, the NEET postgraduate exams. So next is the next thing, and students need to get ready for that.
Absolutely. I think it's a very, very important a piece of information which you shared, Pranesh, and that answers almost all the questions related to what happens post study. And now it's going to be a level, equal level play ground for all the medical graduates, irrespective of studying in India or abroad from any country.
Yes,
And if you
exactly.
studied well, if you come from a good background, you should be able to clear that test, irrespective of the country where you studied from.
If I can
And
just, Aslam, our medical schools we work with, UCLan and Ireland, they actually contribute in the final fifth year of their qualifications on the medical MBBS. They will assist students preparing for such assessments and tests, and even
Okay.
with placements within the NHS jobs and placements, etc., as junior doctors. So our medical schools take the responsibility of preparing international doctors very seriously. So they're actually enriching students to support them with that career path, if that's their decision to return back to their home nation or to work in America or internationally from the UK qualified institutes we work with. So yeah, that adds to supporting students in their career ambition, particularly as doctors,
Yeah, yeah.
wherever they wish to work.
It is very important, and I think with both of the gentlemen, what they're trying to say is that that's how as you're going to be supported, whether you want to come back to India or you want to seek a career in abroad. These are the challenges usually you would come across, and these are the solution for these challenges and for your questions, which the on campus and through their university they will try to guide you in the right direction for the better career. Thank you very much, Pranesh. And in fact, this was a very good news for me as well to learn from you, which you added to the last question. So I'm sure that many of students and parents have got very clear guidelines how the Indian medical
yes,
scenario is also changing in future, in coming years. Pranesh, you would like to add something before?
yeah. One thing that I would just like to add is that are the intakes, because that was one of the questions that I think I missed out. Now we have two intakes, September and January. So if students are willing to apply for us, they have two options open. And one thing important is that is the method of the study. How are we going to make students study? The good news is that we run the program face to face. One, you come and join us in September and complete the entire program face to face, or else you can also do the first term, which is the first 3 months online, and then you can arrive in January face to face. The good news is that India is off from the red list. So that's another good news for India students, that they are not supposed to spend that money on quarantine now in the UK. But if you wish to apply with us, one thing is sure, that you really need to be well prepared. You should apply as soon as possible. But we have two intakes. One is September, and then the other is January. And yes, the next exam is going to change everything. Whether you have passed out in India, whether abroad,
Yeah.
please clear the next and then move ahead. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you, Pranesh. Thank you very much. And thank you, Peter. Thank you very much for your time. Would you like to add the last final statement from your side to our listeners?
Um, to all students, particularly, I would say be the best that you can be and make a real difference and commit to study and hard work, and everything will come from that. There are no shortcuts. Work with the experts. If I can say, Aleph, Aslam, your organization with that aptitude test and everything you're doing now makes such a difference to give informed information, expert information, so that people are making the right decisions and the right choices, because it is quite confusing to know what to do next. So well done for everyone involved as international educators. But be the best that you can be. And to do that, you have to work and study, obviously, hard.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you very much for your kind words. And we will try our always best to help the students to choose the right destination and right institute with the right course. And that's why we say 3C model, which is very unique to our company. Pranesh, final statement for our listeners from your side.
Yeah, I mean, whether you plan to study abroad or you plan to study in India, there's one thing that you need to do is that you should have the right determination, the right sort of a hard work to get into this profession. It's not that easy. You really need to put yourself to the core of your heart and really work hard for this particular profession. And yes, it cannot be implemented without the right passion. So the choice is yours, but yes, please come and study with us. You'll get the right sort of a knowledge, the right knowledge and skills together would build your career as a doctor. So you're most welcome to apply it on campus, and all the best to all of you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you both of the gentlemen for adding such a valuable information to this today's show. And I'm sure that many students and parents have benefited out of the today's discussion on how to do MBBS in UK and Europe. So thank you all the listeners and all our audience to join us for this session and asking the question. If still you have any further query to ask, please do not hesitate to contact us on our helpline number 99870 or visit our website www.alif.in, and our experienced counselor will be happy to assist you instantly. My name is Asram Sheikh, founder and CEO of Alif, signing off with a promise to come back again next week sharp at 5 p.m. with another interesting topic and with some amazingly talented speakers, enlightening you on the subject that matters to you the most. Until then, stay safe and stay excited.
Yes, please.